This video is for the person that allows fear to control them. This video is also for me to document my own journey of how I'm no longer allowing fear to control me. First thing I want to talk about is what kept me in fear for so long instead of action. And the first thing I want to talk about is being in the planning phase. So for so long, I was in the planning phase of, this outcome, this idea, this backup, this having a whole intricate universe of ideas and possibilities and this, that, and the third. However, I realized it was actually keeping me in comfort because it's easy to drum up an idea or drum up an outcome and write it down on whatever. But once you start to apply action, I'm not going to say the plan doesn't matter, but the plan doesn't matter at the same time. You need to have some type of action for anything to happen. If you're constantly, at least for me, if you're constantly in your room having all these ideas and all these this, that, and the third, who is going to find you? Who is going to be like, oh yeah, you are talented or you are creative? Nobody, because you're literally having it in your room and you're waiting to go. You're still waiting for what? And I think for me, the reason why I was in the planning phase for so long is like how I mentioned comfortability, but also I had to address insecurity within myself. One of the insecurities being is I'm insecure of the fact that I'm multifaceted. And I don't know why for so long I held that as an insecurity. I think because I always thought of the quote, like you should be, instead of being a jack of all trades, be a master of one. That's not the quote, but whatever. That's how I felt. I felt like since I was a jack of all trades and I wasn't necessarily a master at one, that I didn't have value or I didn't have skill. And I was afraid and I felt like it was cringe to show the things that I'm into, because if I'm not a master at them, I'm looking silly and I'm looking goofy. And why do that anyway? Because it's cringe. So you might as well hang it up and go back in the house. That's how I felt for so long about myself until I started researching the people that I actually look up to. And I realized they're multifaceted and they figured out a lane for themselves, and that's their art, having so many different avenues of things that they're good at. So in this example, I'm thinking of Tiana Taylor. I'm thinking of, she just won a Golden Globe, she's multifaceted. We've seen her try and do so many things and be great at them. And we also seen so many people try to define her. Solange also is another one that is a multidimensional, multifaceted person who has a whole ecosystem of things that she does, and it all relates to each other, but that's her art. So for so long, I had been shackled by the idea that being multifaceted was a bad thing, but I had to get out of that thinking. So we start with the planning phase. That is where I was at for so long, and I had to address why I was in the planning phase and why I kept it there. Outside of the insecurity, the biggest reason of why I was in the planning phase is because I was scared. And fear, I allowed it to stop me for so long instead of using it as fuel. Fear is the thing that tells you you're cringe. It tells you you don't need to start doing XYZ because, well, why are you doing that? Or they gonna laugh at you, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, why don't you just do it anyway and see where it goes? And I'm in that realm. Starting a YouTube was probably the most scariest thing for me because it was me sharing my real honest thoughts. It was me exposing myself and exposing, just my inner thoughts. It's still scary for me to be on YouTube. It's still scary for me to not look away, and it's fear, but I'm getting it out there anyway, right? I started doing instrumentals. I love making instrumentals. Instead of me being fearful about it or just me doing it, I made a TikTok and a YouTube for it. I'm definitely afraid of that because I'm so afraid that somebody's going to be like, girl, what the hell is this? Or, dogging me. But it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter if somebody's going to like it. The only way to find my community is to get myself out there. The last 2 weeks have been the test of me doing that digitally, posting stuff on Substack, posting stuff on YouTube. But now I'm in the process of doing things in person, which I thought that doing things on YouTube would be scarier, but honestly, it's not. I'm in the comfort of my own home. When doing things in person, I didn't realize how much it would scare me because I am already an outgoing person. I enjoy talking to people, but I had to realize that, yeah, I'm all of those things. I'm outgoing, I'm this, that, and the third, but it doesn't matter because once I start to show my interest, that's when I cower. That's when I get like, no, this is just some little thing I'm doing. I get afraid to celebrate myself. This entire week is going to be a challenge of me to stop doing that and doing it scared and putting myself out there. But the first event that I want to talk about that I didn't let fear control me. Fear was still there, but I still did it anyway. And I went to an event for renowned photographers. I just wanted to go there. Photography is an interest of mine. It's something that I enjoy taking pictures of on my iPhone. Like I've never claimed to be a photographer, but I was like, okay, instead of me again saying, oh, I'm not good at that, I'm not a master of that, and shutting it out, why don't I just explore the interest? So I went to this event with the photographers to just hear what they had to say about their journey, how they came up, their ups and downs, how they remain positive, inspired throughout their process. Just want to hear what they had to say. And I had the idea to print out my my photography. Actually, my mom gave me that idea. She was like, you should print out your photography. And the first thought was, yeah, actually I had a positive thought, but then fear kicked in where it was like, girl, who are you? You think you're about to print out this photography for them? Do you think they care? Like them little iPhone pictures you do, it's not nothing. Like that came in, but I had to push that out because I'm like, you know what? I'm already outside of my comfort zone going to this event, going to a photography event when I'm not even a photographer. I'm already an outsider if anybody knew who I was. But that's the whole thing. Nobody knows who I am at these events. Nobody knew who I was at that event. So I could have been a photographer. I could have been all these things nobody would have known. So that kind of stopped me from being in that fear-based thinking. And I did. I went ahead and print out my photography stuff. And I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not going to shove it in their face, but I'm going to bring it. Why not? It's not a crime. So I brought it and we had Q&A at the event. I was deathly afraid to get up and say something. So I typed my question. And I put it as anonymous just because I was afraid that they were gonna, if they called my name, if they said, oh, this question is for Taylor, that I would have to get up and ask that question. And I kind of was a little annoyed with myself because I was like, okay, you've gotten this far of signing up for this event, getting here, putting out the book. Why are you acting scared? Why are you being scared? So luckily, the announcer said, you'll have 15 minutes after to, do a meet and greet with the photographers and, just share a little bit about you. So in that moment, fear didn't matter just because I was like, I'm already scared as hell. I've been scared as hell from the moment I signed up for this event. Why not make it worthwhile to be here? I put myself in position to say, I didn't necessarily say, hey, I'm this photographer, look through my stuff. I just was honest. I was like, hey, I'm trying to figure it out for myself. I'm trying to just lean into the things that I'm interested in. I'm not a photographer. I take these pictures on my iPhone. They're pretty good to me. Do you mind signing my book? That's all I wanted. And one of the photographers, he was so kind. He was like, well, how are you? He wanted to actually have a conversation with me. And we had a small conversation, but it meant the world to me just because, they're there for, their reasons of, doing the event. But for me, that was a moment where I proved to myself that I can do it scared and I don't have to be afraid. And the conversation that we had felt so good. It felt so good. I felt seen. I felt heard. And listening to a lot of the things that they said, I was like, okay, they've been scared. They have done it in fear. So it's like, but also at the same time, they're the ones that are up here doing this event. They're the ones that have traveled all around the world doing different photo shoots. They probably were afraid in those moments, or, maybe like, oh my gosh, or whatever. But did they ever stop? No. And that event was something that I realized I really needed. I needed to hear. I needed to see people like me succeeding in spaces and doing the thing, not allowing fear to control them. I think for myself, I see a lot of these people in different spaces, and I forget that they are human too. And I forget that they also have fear. They also have doubt. They also have these same feelings that I'm feeling. I forget that no matter where they are, they're still trying to climb heights in their career. They still have goals too. So that doesn't go without saying, everybody feels fear. But what is it going to be of benefit to you if you're allowing fear to control you and stop you? I'm in the process of figuring out who I am. And in order for me to do that, I have to explore all of the things that I'm good at, explore all of the things, even if I'm not good at them, I'm just interested in them. I naturally do them. That is how I find myself. I'm doing it afraid, and I'm so interested, and I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful to see where it goes for myself. All of these things that I'm doing, I'm also trying to practice not thinking of them, not thinking of the fact that I'm making this video and I'm talking about a bunch of things at once, not thinking about the fact that I signed up for these different events and I'm just here and I'm just, I'm not thinking about my actions as hard as I would before, and I'm just doing. And the first event was a knockout, and it really showed me if I just stop worrying so much and stop being in fear, I don't know where life can take me.